Glorious people of the internet, welcome to my little podcast. I've changed the name, you may have noticed. So I'm now calling this one by my real name, Sarnia de la Mare, FRSA. That's Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. Because it doesn't do very well for several reasons. I mean, I very rarely podcast. We're going to try and podcast lots today. And, you know, because I want to grow this part of my business over the coming year. And this part of my business is really all about the wonderful art of literature, you know, the art of words, the art of speaking, talking, communicating, literary wonders. So I want to share lots of great stories from the public domain, which I use something called the Internet Archive. Now, I love the Internet Archive because it provides us with loads and loads of really, really cool books that are all in the public domain, so we can share them and enjoy them. We don't have to pay. We can reproduce them if we want to. I mean, a couple of them I'm thinking about reproducing with illustrations this year as coffee table books, because I'm an artist as well. But it's really hard to get art across on a podcast for obvious reasons. I mean, you know, I can talk about a painting that I've done. I mean, I've just done one which has gone up onto the Raunchy website. But, I could talk about it endlessly. But would you know what I was on about? I kind of talked myself into that, because what I could do is I could put the image in a link on the description, couldn't I? And then I could also put it in the thumbnail. So I may do that over at the Telltale Club, because that's quite my busy podcast, you know. That's iServerland.com. iServerland's just really easy for people to remember. Sarnia de la Mare, FRSA. It's a big old mouthful, isn't it? That's who's going to remember that, you know? Oh, I'm just moving everything out the way because Romeo is eyeing up my lap. Not that he sits on it, but he insists on jumping over the microphone, and you'll hear. I mean, I should introduce you to him in case you don't know him. Hello, Romeo. This is my Persian cat. Hello, Romeo. Come along. And every time I do a podcast, he thinks I'm talking to him. So he hasn't woken up yet. He sleeps under my bed, guarding me from things that go bump in the night, no doubt. And so he doesn't wake up until I start speaking, and then in full glory he jumps over the microphone, makes a big old noise and starts purring. So sorry about that. Come on then. Anyway, what am I doing today? So the Sarnia de la Mare website, I've also got a blog, which is sdelamare.blogspot.com. I'll pop that in the description too. And again, lots of literature and perhaps some illustrations, but that are by the way, you know. They'll all be by the way. I think everyone can hear you purring, darling. It's not picking it up. Oh, there we go. He said hello to everyone. Anyway, so a couple of things. I've got a couple of characters that I channel as poets. So I'm really a collection of poets, depending on, you know, what I'm doing and what I'm exploring. Now, the Marchioness of Dorchester, which is another of my pseudonyms, she writes very rude poetry about fruit, very erotic poetry. Oh, there we go, hit the mic. About fruit, and gentlemen suitors. Very sexy, very, you know, she's constantly, she has some sort of sexual addiction, probably, because she can't look at a piece of fruit without thinking about sex. So comedy, sexual comedy, I would say, for the Marchioness of Dorchester. But also she's done some love poems, but love stories, shorts, in 60-second bites, 60-word limits. So a whole love story, a whole narrative with beginning, middle and end in 60 words. So that was quite fun to do. And I think we might do some more for Twitter in 120 characters. That might be quite fun as well. Now, the other thing I'm doing for Twitter is the Quillmatic Bardinator. A mouthful, I know. Now, for this one, I'm using AI. Now, I always have to do more to it, but my AI gives me the skeletal poem, right? It makes a lot of mistakes and it can be very boring. So today's one, because it's the third one today, I have to say a little bit boring, predictable. So I do have to swap loads of words round, and alter the meaning sometimes, because it doesn't quite channel the correct impetus from my idea. Now, today's idea was beware the online suitor, and I think yesterday's was, no, I can't remember yesterday's, but the day before was losing your mobile phone. So really the Quillmatic Bardinator is a postmodern poet who thinks he's Shakespeare. So that's the premise for that collection of poems. And I guess quite comic as well. It was certainly wry. Do you know what I mean? That kind of humour that's, you know, not going to loll. You're not going to laugh out loud. I'm very excited by these. I think they're amusing, you know, with that slightly British tongue-in-cheek sensibility, which I really, really like. And of course, the British know all about Shakespeare because we've grown up with Shakespeare. And Shakespeare may or may not be lost on the rest of the world. I do not know. But if you're American, you're listening to this podcast, do drop me a line. On my blog, actually, you can comment. I think I've allowed comments on that one. But there's a contact box on all my blogs anyway. Down the the left-hand side, there should be a contact box. So you can message me with, any opinions that you have. And we can, I can publish them if I like them. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? I mean, I do have the opportunity to create a forum, I think, on Twitter, but I'm still getting used to my Twitter. So now I do have a Twitter. The Marchioness of Dorchester has a Twitter, but I don't have my blue tick on her. My blue tick is on the Telltale Club one, and that means I can post longer tweets. And I've put full stories up there. It's great. It's a fantastic way of getting your work out there. And remember, I'm not publishing anything yet. I'm not of an inclination to publish these works on Kindle. I do want my IBSN number, though, so I will be publishing them as paperbacks at some point. But, that's something for in a couple of months' time. Or if I have a very quiet January. I don't think I'm going... Guys, I just don't think that's going to happen because I've just set up as well my apps and my video TV station, my TV app over on Vimeo. It's a slow growing campaign, that one. I mean, I can't do everything at once. You really have to start the new year knowing that, Monday is for this, Tuesday's for that, Wednesday's for that. And that's sort of how I'm going to do it. Initially I was thinking about filming every day for the expressive fitness shows, but you just can't do it. It can't be done. I mean, it literally takes all day to do a 5-minute video because, you've got to faff about. I mean, I don't wake up looking glorious, guys. I wake up looking like a 61-year-old woman, and I need an awful lot of tweaking before I can show it to the world. Not my body. Now, while I'm here, actually, I am going to talk about the very exciting fact that I haven't taken my omeprazole for 4 days. I mean, it might even be 5 days. I can't remember. It may even be 5 days. Yeah, do you know what I think it is? Because I think I took them on Sunday, but I had to double dose because I was so... Oh, and he's hit the mic again. I think he actually headbutted it that time. That was Romeo. He's gone to have some breakfast. You'll probably hear it in a minute. So, yeah, after the weekend, because I'd had 2 glasses of champers, 2 tiny flutes. I mean, they were really small. But I'd eaten so much cheese. I mean, cheese is the devil in disguise. Is it not, my friends? So I'd eaten far too much for my little stomach to handle, and I really paid for it for a couple of days. So no, it's probably my 4th day. I think it was Tuesday. I accidentally went cold turkey. I didn't mean to. It's totally by accident. I forgot to take my tablet, but I had double dosed the day before, and then I thought, oh, it's probably because I double dosed. And then the next day I thought, well, let's see if we can carry on. And today I still haven't needed one. And normally what happens is when I lay down, I go to sleep, it starts, or I wake in the night and I have to go and, sort the medication out. But I've stopped eating after 5:30. That seems to be my cut-off point. No food after 5:30. And more to the point, no coffee. And really cutting my coffee in half. So I've cut it right down. And my stomach feels as if it's somehow reborn. These medications do an awful lot of negative things to us. And the biggest thing for me was dehydration. And in fact, I think the dehydration from gastric medication is more stark than a lot of tablets. I mean, a lot of them make you dehydrated, but I think this particular one, omeprazole, and also, Peptac, and any of these things that supposedly stop heartburn, I think they all cause, well, I'm going to say the word, constipation. I'm sorry to bring it up. But, these things are part of my fitness program, getting on board with that, sorting it out. It's the medication that blocks people up. And it, eventually it will kill you, not because you're dehydrated per se, but because you've got a kidney problem because of them. Long-term use. And old ladies are forever dying of kidney complications, kidney infections. Our bodies can't cope with them. And the reason we get all these things is because we're dehydrated. And the reason we're dehydrated often is because we're on all these medications. So my next little project, but I'm going to carry on with my 2 amitriptyline for the moment for headaches, because I did have a headache this week. And I think it's to do with eyes, but I've got some special eyewear that cuts out glare. But I did have, when I'm taking the amitriptyline, and I take them because of headaches, I don't get a headache. What I get is the aura, so it's a migraine. So I had the aura this week, and then a very slight dull ache in my head. So coming off those is going to be trickier. So I really need to find some wellness solutions. Now, I think I'm right in saying that I've already done a Telltale Club music therapy recording for headaches. So you'll have, yes, I definitely have, but I'm trying to think what I called it. Headache Rains, I think. And if you pop along to YouTube, you'll be able to listen to that for free as many times as you like. If you're a therapist, you can buy it, download it, and use it for your clients, or if you're a tutor, anything like that. You can actually buy it, not a problem. And I don't think it's very expensive either. I mean, if you've got iTunes and things like that, you can just download it. So yeah, absolutely be aware when you're going off these drugs that your body has to acclimatise to different. It's funny, isn't it? Because these tiny little tablets, when especially the amitriptyline, you see how small that is, and you realise what it's doing. The effects it has on your body. I like them because they help me to sleep, and I'm an insomniac. But an insomniac might, if you're writing a book, it could be quite useful, couldn't it? As long as people don't wake you up in the mornings. And that's the problem. I mean, at one point I was going to bed at 4 and waking at 12, and I missed that lovely morning light. Well, not so much in winter, but, it gets dark here. It starts to go dark around 4. So if you've only got up at 12, and then you've got to film and you want some natural light. Although, guys, I've got my my lighting coming for the studio, for the photography and video studio, and I think I might hire it out. That's probably quite a good idea, actually, to offer people that facility and come and make their videos, as long as they're not, raunchy. Well, do I care? Would I care? I mean, I've got a huge round cuddle chair in there. Perhaps I should have a raunchy video recording facility. I mean, I could just go for a walk and walk my imaginary dog. iceoverland.com